nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it.
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. We're going to do a little vibes on how we're feeling going into the season here. Joining me today, Seth, who knows everything. Seth, how you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Like we're 13 days away from the start of the season. Liverpool's kids are playing in the background right now. And yeah, things are pretty good at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
But it's you have this like always nervous energy before a season starts of like, this might be good, but who knows how it'll all come together.
Well, if you can't be hopeful in preseason, then what's the point?
I don't know. We've seen Austin FC 2024, so I don't know.
Well, I think we were right there, though. Also joining me, Scott, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. United got the weekend off to a good start, and it's kind of been like pleasantly chilly this morning, and I've been outside and enjoying it.
Yeah, nice. I'm taking a mental sabbatical from English/European soccer, so I'm watching the rugby between Scotland and Ireland, and Scotland is not doing great, and one of their players just went off on a stretcher and a neck brace. So, it's the grim Scottish weather is definitely fitting.
Okay, I'm not 100% rules on the rugby, but that sounds bad.
Yeah, they're definitely not the better team today, even if you don't know anything about rugby. Also joining us today, Brad Tillery. Brad, have you eaten since the last time I saw you?
The answer is no.
Good.
Absolutely not.
Brad and I went and got barbecue yesterday. And I kept saying, I only want like these two things. And him and our good friend, Mr. Sandoval, kept saying, no, you have to get these things. And instead of getting like a pound of meat, I got like 9 acres of meat.
Worth it.
Yeah, I did finish the leftovers yesterday, and now I need a nap again.
I see no problems there.
Yeah. Barb's BQ and Lockhart highly recommend.
Yeah, I'll have to get down there on my next trip.
Yeah, it's a good spot. What do we want to talk about? I know there's some new stuff. Some new signings came in. We did actually sort of get to see some preseason games, so I think we should probably start there.
Yeah.
1-1 against defending champion LA Galaxy. Scott, I'm going to ask you here, and I think we do have definitive proof. Did or did not Diego actually want that smoke?
He says that he did, but that sounds like one of those like hold me back kind of like fight situations of like you act like you're in, but you expect your teammates to pull you out. Because his plan of pushing somebody and then cowering away to make sure he didn't get hit did work perfectly, mind you. But then bragging about like, oh, well, I'm not the one who got scratched up. Like, it was really kind of sad. Like, especially for a like professional soccer player to be like that online and replying to accounts that have like 50 followers.
Yeah, I saw the photos. And our good friends at the False Nine winding him up, but... Yeah, why are you responding? It's a preseason game. It's not like there are, 30 articles on MLS.com like, is Diego Fagundes a coward or anything like that? It's just like 4 people on the internet noticed this.
Yeah, and
I mean, heck, like when Euro and Puig went at each other last year during the game, there was probably still only like one article on MLSsoccer.com or anything else because no one actually covers this league.
Yeah. I thought replying to the tweets was actually worse than the whole like mom no timeout shit.
The correct answer to your original question was Diego wanted that smoke like Jake Paul wants a smoke from a real boxer.
On Netflix. Maybe we can arrange that.
but Diego would be okay because it would only work like every like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody would
like
be able
in
to
2005 when Carmelo Anthony started a fight in the NBA and then like threw one shot and then ran to the other side of the court and then tried to act like he was tough. Like that's what this was.
Just it's okay to not be a tough guy, especially in soccer, especially in preseason,
especially against the big Ukrainian guy. I don't know. Like, just seems like a dumb guy to pick a fight against. Just me.
Just don't fuck with Eastern Europeans, and also don't fuck with Eastern Europeans who literally like just came from a war zone. This isn't complicated.
Yeah, like there's just like basic life rules to follow, and like of like your own safety. Like, don't get into an unmarked car in a city you don't know. Like, don't fight Ukrainians. Like, just don't.
Also, after this, and then the incident last year with Svatak, I love this guy. I love this guy so much.
Same.
I like center backs who are deservedly feared. Like, this guy might actually haul up and hurt me. It's not just like soccer football. Yeah, who was the guy that United had for like 5-10 years? Vidic?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gives me big Vidic
Nemanja.
vibes.
He does, and I think that's like something that's like Austin's been kind of missing. Like Austin, I don't think you'd ever really describe them as being a like tough or strong team.
I
and
mean, I
think
think
that's
when we had Lotto for a couple months that we sort of were.
yeah, it's just the thing of like that's not like really like the vibes that our roster gives off, and so I think a big part of Roto's moves has been trying to instill that in. Like if you look at our back line of like Dessler and Svatak and Biru, like those guys aren't afraid to just go through you, and like teams we're playing need to have that in the back of their heads.
Yeah, I love being the team that can like definitely bully someone. I'd rather play like fancy tiki taka type of stuff, but if we need to go through someone, I'm perfectly happy to do it.
Oh no,
why do we have
humiliating people via just overpowering them is way funnier to me.
Yeah.
Funniest solution.
Yeah. So I mean, we got Rado, we got Svatak. Do we need to keep rating Eastern Europe or? Yeah. Okay. So that's nodding his head.
And we just did that with an FC2 signing this week too, right?
He's American.
Yeah. Untapped gold mine.
I said that on the show like 2.5 years ago. We need to start rating Eastern Europe.
There's so much talent over there that you can get at a cheaper price and bring into MLS and upgrade your roster quickly. Like you absolutely should be. More teams should be paying more attention to Eastern Europe. Absolutely.
And what's also helpful right now is that a lot of their transfer windows are open through the end of February, so we could still be signing players like this from them because they're going to be on the schedule that MLS will hopefully be on come a year or two from now where, hey, it's still a year-round schedule. We're just going to take a 2-month break in the wintertime because, who wants to play football in Poland in early February?
I don't want to be anywhere near Poland anytime in February.
Just period. I've been in Poland in June when it has been 55 degrees. I mean, I've also lived in Chicago where it can be 55 degrees in June too, but similarly depressing.
I don't know. It's like a satellite colony of Poland.
I mean, it was part of Poland. I mean, this is why this guy actually that we signed was born here in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is now only the 3rd largest Polish-speaking city in the world. It is now back behind Krakow, where it was ahead of Krakow.
Yeah, I think I forgot the exact stat, but for a while, St. Louis was the 2nd largest Bosnian community in the world after like literally all of Bosnia, or the half of it that's not Herzegovina. But yeah, so we did get some other new guys in. I don't remember who we had the last time, but we got the big Vasquez signing. We have a status immigration update on Uzuni.
We do not have one, but Sabovic and Wysarski are both in Coachella right now. Because even though we played the 2 matches this week that were shown on a 1-camera YouTube setup, that we are playing another match on Wednesday against Charlotte there that is not going to be open to the public. But I don't know, we might be able to find some news out from there because I figure like not open to the public means it's one field over. So hopefully some people will still be able to at least see. It might be like Verde hilling it type, but like I feel like people will be able to see what's going on. And my sense is that match is going to be the most realistic preseason match that we have, and we'll actually run out a real starting 11. And maybe even if certain players' visas aren't possibly through, well, we have no proof that they actually worked here. They can still practice. That's not work, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about practice,
I
not a
thought
game. Not a game.
I thought with yesterday's game, the 11 was pretty close to what we'll see, maybe outside of the back line. At least until the full reinforcement lineup gets here, right?
Well, did we get any word on what actually happened to Dessler?
I mean, Dessler was there yesterday. He wasn't playing, but he was there in a jacket. He was not in crutches. He's there walking around. Like, my guess is he will probably be fine. He might not start opening day, but he can be. Like, if Galley starts and he comes off the bench, I would like to see him put a couple shifts in before February 22nd, but he is alive, human. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a nice little area out there. Maybe he just wanted to take a day and appreciate the nice little adorable white picket fences that are around all the little fields. And I literally thought they were playing this at like a country club. I don't know if you guys like saw any of the environment that they were showing from the
Oh yeah,
They literally call it a polo field, right? So they could
Yeah.
be a country club.
yeah, it's a polo grounds. Yeah, I mean, before a music festival takes over for 2 weeks.
Okay, so like above a country club. I was underselling it.
Yes, I mean, I can imagine the team polo bonding activities. Quite interesting. See whoever's the first one to fall off the horse.
Yeah. Don't
See,
do that.
that's the Fulham Jaguars match that we should have. Is they should have 20 horses for
Yes.
polo.
Yes.
That
Okay.
would be fun.
So you got to get
I-
Tony Khan to agree to have Fulham play the Jaguars in polo.
Can you imagine an NFL player just riding a horse to begin with?
I feel like this is a Trevor Lawrence commercial already.
As
Or
long
like
as it
L'Oreal or
wouldn't be Eric
something.
Berry, but he's notoriously so. I don't know if you ever saw the video with Eric Berry when he was with the Chiefs. I'll send it to y'all later. There is an actual video of him being terrified of horses, and the Chiefs have a horse that runs on and off the field constantly during games. So it's hilarious.
I don't know. I'm not like the world's biggest fan of horses. I don't think I'm scared of them. But
I think everybody is here except for Uzuni though, because I saw Dubasarski's here because he was at the Domain, the pinnacle of Boston culture, and
Dubasarski was there. At
he was
Coachella
there yesterday, right?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing we have with Izumi is, given the state of the world right now where we live, who knows how long immigration's going to take?
well, I mean, if Dubasarski got in,
Well, Dubasarski, Dubasarski actually came into the U.S. just on he had a already valid U.S. visa for non-work purposes. So like that's how he got into the U.S. so quickly, because he had actually played in youth tournaments in the United States before. So he already also the current Argentine government is quite friendly with the current American government. So getting in from Argentina to the U.S. with proper means is actually not difficult. Savovich on an EU passport was not too challenging. I have to imagine Uzuni with an EU visa shouldn't be too much harder. I would expect to see him in Austin at some point in the next 2 weeks.
yeah, maybe this is a game or something getting up to speed. But
Yeah. I mean, we do have 2 weeks until the first match. And so even if he's just like there at the first match to like do a presentation or something, like that's still a big deal.
well, didn't we have that with Gabrielson too? Like he missed the first match or two where he was in the stands and he seemed to be
He
Yeah,
was
and
the first-
he was demanding to play because he had gotten here like 4 days beforehand, and that's who Ribbon is as a person.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I think he missed the first match, and I think he came on as a sub against Miami.
Okay.
Was the second match of the season, and
Yeah,
then
there was
and
one
then
that
he
he was-
started whenever he was ready.
Yeah, there was one who's definitely in the stands, like sending photos out, and we're like, I think we're gonna like this guy, and we did.
We did.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we do have to start thinking about is that this will be the roster with the most national team players that we've ever had. I mean, we have, and MLS is playing through 3 separate international windows this year, one in March, one in June, and one in September, and a Gold Cup. I mean, especially with the U.S. striker pool, this came up earlier this week, that we got to a point of, okay, Balogun is out until April. Pepe is now out until at least the summer. I mean, Brandon Vasquez is likely going to be getting his name called if he can stay healthy into the U.S. national team. So that means that for the game that we have against San Diego, he'll be at the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals, finals, third place game, whatever we're in. Uzuni is an Albanian national team player. They open up their World Cup qualifying campaign at Wembley. Bukhari is maybe in the Ghanaian national team, but he's been in and out. I kind of hope he's out for the moment because Ghana plays matches that would take him away from us for at least 2 matches. Leo Väisänen is in and out of the Finnish national team. It's just an interesting world that we're in a different space. Danny is in and out of the Venezuelan national team. Julio is in and out of the Costa Rican national team. Like, we could be down a bunch of guys in March.
Svadak too.
Svadak, yep.
Yeah. Are we in a spot where we would say it's a good thing if Brandon Vasquez is missing games for U.S. games? Because he'd have to be scoring goals and playing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of like, okay, who's ahead of him in the striker pool right now? Josh Sargent is back healthy for the moment, but that probably could Gusher never seems to stay healthy, but he's been doing well at Norwich at the moment, so he's probably your number one striker for the U.S. Brandon's maybe number 2. Damian Downs has been faring enough for FC Cologne. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a call in. But we'll see how the rest of the pool looks at this point. It's an interest without your 2 main strikers. The U.S. striking attack force is a little interesting. I mean, I assume Brendan Aronson will get called in, and he can play as a striker if he needs to.
I mean, also Hodge Wright. I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
just like
Hodge
throwing
Wright
other names
is
out
in
there.
an okay form. Yeah.
But we don't really know, too, with a new coach either.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of, that's part of the excitement of.
Injured.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the excitement with Austin is that, like, and why I feel as though more people are watching the preseason games is trying to just get, like, some kind of read on what Nico's doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I watched all the one yesterday and the first half of the earlier one. The team looks a lot more fluid. There are still some moments where you can see guys are kind of like deprogramming themselves from like the, oh my God, what do I do now? And like just a little more go play. And that might just be a preseason thing, but what do you guys think? Any thoughts?
First few things that jump out to me are the intent with pressing with our front line, and not just having token pressure, but actually having a plan when we're pressing up there.
Weird.
Yeah. The seeming ability to have a counterattack, which also different, because when was the last time we really ran a counterattack at any point? So I feel like that's what we're going to be more of. I don't necessarily think we're going to be that midfield possession team that we've tried to be. I think we're going to be a press and counter a lot more, which with the profile of players we have, seems smart. Also, if Owen Wolff is not jumping off the screen to you right now, he should be. 2 assists in 2 games, and both of them were on very nice moves. You can see he's got a little more freedom to play and use his skills the way that suits the team better, and also puts him and everyone else in position to score. Same thing with Danny, right? In the first game, Danny had a shot off that was just saved, but it was a really nice shot early in the match against Galaxy. So I think the things that we've been asking for, you're starting to see come to fruition early. Devin, I agree with you. There was a set or two during the Galaxy game where it's like, oh my gosh, this team is totally deprogramming itself right now, because they would just revert back to some things that were definite Josh Wolf type patterns of play, which have fun with that one, Houston. But
We'll come on to them later.
Yeah, otherwise, I actually really like what I'm seeing out of this team. And knowing that you still have a couple of guys who have not integrated themselves into practice yet. Because I'm not convinced that one of either Owen or Danny is going to get a starter on opening day. I think Sabovic takes over one of those 2 roles. It's probably going to be the Owen role, but Owen's earning himself minutes right now. I like where this team looks to be heading. I still like to see us get Vasquez a little more involved off of what the first couple of games, but otherwise, pretty solid start. And defensively, when our primary choice defense and midfield is in there, we look good. That first goal against Galaxy was awful to give up, but you have to remember that it wasn't really our first choice team in there playing, so I'm okay kind of waving it away, just like I'm okay with yesterday's. It's like, okay, we gave up the goal, but that was after a full line change in the 65th minute, so whatever. It's going to happen.
The goal yesterday kind of sucked, but it was like FCTO Plus playing, and the 60 minutes we had starters in against, again, their starters for the most part. We pretty much ran the entire game. I loved about, we had Bakari on the left, and about 7-8 minutes into the game, he just looks at this guy who's facing up on him and it's like, I'm just going to run circles around you, and like beat the guy, pulled the ball back and beat him again just to show him that he could. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a lot of fun this year.
You can tell that he has much more freedom to just have the ball and cook. And like, I think that's part of the just like extra talent around the field is that with Vasquez occupying like so much attention centrally, like Bukhari's going to be one-on-one against fullbacks, and there are very few fullbacks in MLS who can keep up with him. And so I think we saw over and over yesterday of him just, beating his man, getting a cross in, and like the really dangerous crosses getting across the box. And like as we, load up more, hopefully with more players moving forward, like those are going to find.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that both Owen and Danny can develop too. That late runner in the box.
I also think that's something that Savage is good at from watching like his highlight videos, which obviously like highlight videos, but at the same
Disclaimer,
time, like,
whatever preseason game, yada yada.
I think that's my favorite thing about Dubasarski is that even his highlight videos are him just making tackles. Like whoever made them is just like, I can't find any goals, so we're just gonna show him defending on the wing.
Well, but I think this is part of the plan with Owen too. You're talking about being a second late arriver. He might be more of trying to go around, create something off the end line, and then you can tuck Uzuni just like you did with Oberon yesterday. You can tuck Uzuni back inside and let him be the finisher.
Yep.
That opens itself up to being possibilities that I just think the way they're setting this team up right now and the way that it appears Nico is letting them play, we have a ton more options of how to score goals than we ever have in the past. It's not just cross and play. Or it's not, hey, actually, for once in our lives, create a hell of a passing sequence, which happened, every blue moon, where we were able to free up a goal. So I think in that respect, we'll be able to create a whole lot more chances this year. And we're even trying counters. Like we mentioned earlier, we're trying long ball counterattacks. There was a stretch in the first or second half when Bukhari came on in the Galaxy game. We pinged 2 or 3 long balls to him and just said, go get it.
Yeah. If you have fast players, go do that. It's MLS. It's not like you're, playing.
Yeah.
It's worth a go.
I mean, Josh always talks about like verticality, but like there is also a certain amount of like horizontality of like if your wingers can outmatch their fullbacks, like it puts so much more pressure on like every other part of your defense to try to cover those things.
Yeah,
and like that, and like cascade, like domino of like defenders having to run and cover, just like leave somebody open on the back post, which is what happens to Austin most of the time.
Yeah, to me the biggest thing I noticed, and Brad kind of hit on it a little bit, is it's not okay, well, we're going to get the ball to the wing, and then we're going to overlap, and then we're going to whack into the middle of the box. It was, we'll take what the defense gives us or what we can get, and then we'll decide from there how we want to try to score a goal, which is like how you're actually supposed to fucking play this game. But it was just weird to see. And like, again, like preseason game, maybe they're testing out defenders in new places or something. But there was a lot more, hey, I beat the guy, now my head's up. Is Vasquez open near post for a header? Do I need to, hit it into the spot for a midfielder to run onto? Should I just whack it across the zone of uncertainty and see what happens? Like, there's actually a decision-making process once you're in an advantageous position.
Yeah, it really, we catch a break this year, too, at the beginning of the season with this way the schedule opens up. Our first 3 matches are matches where we can settle in and should be resultable. I won't say they're winnable, but also resultable, because one of them is a road match at Portland and never the easiest place to go play. But when you're talking about opening up with KC, Portland, and Colorado, you've got 3 games that you should be able to take to be very competitive in, but also try to working in a new. You're not having to do it against Galaxy. You're not having to do it against LAFC, right? You're getting a chance to do it against the lower half of what we expect to be the lower half of the Western Conference.
Disclaimer, it's MLS, nobody knows, yada, 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 but...
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, Colorado right now looks like they're going to throw on a U19 team for the entire season, so...
And like Kansas City, like they're like a big team in position right now. Like they've kind of done the thing that they needed to do the last couple of years of like moving on from like Russell and Polito. But like that transition is going to be difficult for them early in the season. Like I'd much rather play them in February and March than in August and September.
Yeah, well, we got to go there in September, and it's during an international break.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in the playoffs by then, though.
We can always stream, right?
Like I said, it's
I haven't locked up.
time.
I haven't locked up.
Yeah. We'll just be competing for one of those like top 4 spots, and we are going to do programming note, like a full preview next week. But we're just kind of vibesing off what's here right now. I like the newer look. It seems very 4-3-3, but we're not married to it. Like we said, like we're actually countering. There was one yesterday where Galley took the ball, like made a great interception. He's playing fullback and he's a forward by trade. And instead of taking it to the rack, you can see his brain just like wolfify. He's like, no, I'll take it to the outside. And then I guess I'll cross it in. You're like, it's a preseason game. Go score a fucking goal, John.
Yeah, the potential for him to be unleashed as a like fullback counterattacker is something I'm excited about.
Yeah, especially
because that's always kind of been
game.
like, I mean, that's always kind of been like to me like his best, and that's why he was an all-star when he was playing wing back and they look into the attack, and like that's what his value is as a defender, is that he puts pressure on the other winger to defend. Like,
any other big notes from the games or players coming in you guys want to talk about, or save it for next week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly right now with the guys who are here. I'm interested to see how Sapovic comes into the team, because he does offer something different in the midfield, especially his ability to hit those long passes, based on highlights that we've seen. I think we're all kind of believing he's probably going to be a starter sooner rather than later. Uzuni, we'll worry about when he gets here, but because I'm not convinced right now Uzuni will be playing on opening day. But it's going to take him less time to get up to speed, I would believe, because he's been playing throughout the winter, so he's not having to get match fit. Hopefully he's been able to stay in shape and be okay there. But yeah, I don't know that we're going to learn much more out of the preseason, right? I do find it interesting that Stuber played the entire game yesterday, from what I could tell. Instead of going off with the line change, kind of just doesn't know if he just want to see some shots or get a little more time in between the sticks with some live action. Little surprised I didn't see more Cleveland in the late game yesterday, but other than that, I don't know how you can't at least like the initial things that you're seeing without getting too excited, because only take as much as you can from practice.
But it's fun again.
Could be.
Well, I mean, for now. We got 2 weeks and then we can start doomsaying, but until then. So, I mean, there was a little bit of hope last year, and then we got absolutely fucking worked by Minnesota in the opening game of last year.
But then we remember we were in second place midway through April after beating the Galaxy at home last year in the Western Conference. Like, it's MLS. Weird shit will happen.
Get your points early.
Get your points whenever you can get them.
Yep. All right. Well, we got a couple, I'm going to call them MLS news and notes. Seth, you want to talk about some roster rules, some real sicko shit?
Yeah, so we've had some roster rule updates. I will congratulate MLS that it is February 9th, and we know what the roster structure of the league will look like. We know what the transfer windows will be. We don't know what our playoff format looks like yet. I assume we'll probably be pretty similar to the last two seasons.
Whoa. Beggars can't be choosers here, Seth.
13 days. We know what the U.S. Open Cup format's going to be. We know what the Leagues Cup format's going to be. We actually know more than we did at this time last year. So let's give Don Garber and their newly relocated Connecticut company status some credit here. I mean, it's 13 days before the season and we don't have a playoff format.
Baby steps.
Listen, they're moving into the old WWE headquarters, so that probably means the playoffs are just going to be Royal Rumble format.
And we got Svadok. We're good.
Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun.
That's LA Galaxy's music.
I mean, if they did King of the Ring or something, it would be pretty amazing, because you could see King of the Ring. And yeah, you just get a crown at the end or something.
But the thing is, how would they ever allow a format where Messi would not be advantaged? Let's face it,
Messi gets like a mechanized cyber suit.
So Miami automatically gets the 30th spot in the Royal Rumble. Is the way it works out of the 30 guys that come in. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that makes sense there. So we have a couple new features in MLS. The first one is that we are actually allowed to use real life American money for trades, not Garber bucks, which is a revolutionary proceeding here in MLS.
No, I don't like it. I fear change.
Yes, absolutely. Fear of change. Systems are unstabilizing. Inflation will matter. What's going on here? We don't know. But you can now, with teams that don't have enough Garber bucks, whether through GAM or TAM, that they can now actually go in and use their real life owner's cash money to go acquire a player that is within the league. Because in MLS, it is a single ownership structure. Every player technically works for the league. So unless a player has a no trade clause, the players really have a contract with the league rather than an individual club. Now we are saying that, hey, we are sort of allowing a market mechanism for this, but we've already seen a couple trades here. So the LA Galaxy traded Dejan Jovic to Sporting Kansas City in exchange for cash, and then Philly sent Jack McGlynn to the Houston Dynamo in exchange for cash as well. Also, on a funny note, before we get into the other rules, Austin FC has spent more money this season on transfer fees than the Philadelphia Union has in its 15 years of existence.
Oh my gosh.
Philly has only spent $16 million on transfer fees, and since they were established in 2010, and yeah, we've spent almost $30 million in the last year.
Has the league figured out a way for Colorado to pay cash for more super draft picks?
I think it's just going to be the super draft is that every team will have their own academies and pipelines. The super draft will just be known as the Rocky Mountain Expansion Show. And that it is, you're just, okay, Colorado, you get every generation Adidas player. Congratulations.
To be fair, Crocky Sports and Entertainment needs that money for a higher purpose.
Moving the Rams again?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, fine. I was thinking buying Alexander Isak, but like moving them to fucking Saskatoon, I'd take that too.
Yeah, no, I think it's like interesting because like that's always been kind of like a gripe about that like Union fans have had is that they feel as though like they're good at promoting academy players and not spending on like enhancing that roster. And Austin's kind of like the exact opposite because we still don't really have academy call-ups yet. Like we kind of do, but not really.
I've seen enough Union chatter on some social media sites where they are definitely getting pissed off with the lack of spit. Their fans are. Especially with Curtin gone now, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot in the pipeline for them. Just sold a player over to Houston. Like they're starting to ask questions of what are we actually doing here?
Who owns the Union?
It is
the Democratic Order of Planets. I know that part, but
no, it's Jay Sugarman. Who is he's the founder of it? That he is the CEO of iStar, a commercial real estate company.
Okay, so he's not.
But yes, there's a lot of Sugarman out type chants on.
Okay, well, I like a good owner out chant. You got to keep it fresh.
And then Atlanta just went and spent what $40 million in transfer fees, or $35 million, something like that.
Yeah, but Atlanta also had a ton of sales.
Yeah,
so they were just spending. They had already gotten back.
I'm convinced Arthur Mike is at his what the fuck ever phase.
Also, we had two great MLS sickos trades this offseason.
Oh, tell me more.
The first was Colorado getting GAM for a data analyst and an assistant coach. The second one was Atlanta bringing in Miguel Almiron back, who has played for them before and has been in MLS, and they had to trade for his discovery rights in order to sign him. A player that had already been on their roster was on another team's discovery rights list.
Were they sold to the Premier League?
Yeah. You're missing one key detail here, which is Miguel Almiron played for Atlanta United. They sold him to Newcastle. Charlotte was created. Then Miguel Almiron came back to Atlanta United from Newcastle, and they had to buy the discovery rights from a team that didn't exist when Miguel Almiron played for Atlanta the first time.
So when we talk about like MLS's chaos and craziness and sicko stuff, like this is the stuff we're talking about because on Blue Sky, all of the MLS media, as soon as that data analyst trade dropped, just went off for like an hour of just like enjoyment of this absolutely ridiculous league.
So I think I asked you this in person when we went to the come watch the open practice event. It was a named data analyst, not a data analyst to be named later. It was a specific data analyst.
Yes, it was a specific person.
Okay.
They
Which is
basically
still-
traded for the kid in Moneyball
Yeah.
for Jonah
Yes,
Hill.
they
They
did.
traded for Jonah Hill. There you go.
which is also part of like the Moneyball story is that like Billy Beane was getting traded and like the people taking over were like, what are we going to get from the Red Sox?
No, but it's also the question is now can you buy data analysts for cash as well as GAM? That is unclear.
Our data analysts tammable. We'll have to get long on this.
Our data and
Quick sidebar, Seth, how you feeling right now, buddy?
I'm not feeling great at the moment, but it's also Liverpool has enough other competitions that if we win 3 competitions this year and not 4.
No, I
I'm
need you
okay
guys to go
with
to
it.
the final in like
For-
everything but Champions League.
For note, Plymouth Argyle has taken a 1-0 lead over Liverpool on a penalty in the 55th minute.
Yes.
All right. Any other cool rules we're missing or updates? Or I guess we should talk about the U.S. Open Cup and Leagues Cup.
If we want to get into the really interesting stuff
Yes,
here,
please.
is that they've now added a 31st roster spot in the rules this year, so that an additional team can, if you have homegrown players, there's now an additional spot for a homegrown player, not just spot 29 and 30. There's spot 31, and then there's also now off-roster homegrown players that if you want to tie a player down in your system, but you don't want to actually put them on your first team roster yet. Sort of like what we did with Micah Burton. You can have them in this invisible spot 32 of the roster as well.
Yeah. And they can play in a certain amount of matches plus cups, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
It's
feel like
4
that might be Urban Torres this year.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
It's like 4 matches they can appear in plus cup matches is what they're allowed to.
I mean, the old system was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I get why it existed, but
I mean, the biggest flaw on our roster right now, our roster construction, is our first 20 looks pretty good, but once you get past that, we really have zero depth on the supplement roster, and we're not using those spots. So I think that's where I can't pronounce. I forgot the kid's name from Poland that we just signed for FC2, but I think that's where we're going to start mining talent like him, where he went through the academy system over there, played second division in Poland, but he born in Chicago, so he's a U.S. citizen, which means if he's good enough and it turns out he blossoms at FC2, you could put him on the supplemental roster without burning an international spot. So I think we're going to start looking for more guys like that because we really do need to have some kind of depth, especially for cup matches, right? If we're playing a USL team, as much as I want to win U.S. Open Cup and I want us to take it seriously, I highly doubt we're going to roll out in a lineup if we end up playing a USL team at home for that first cup match.
Which we are guaranteed to play a USL team at home in that match, or I should say, a non-MLS team in that match.
If we play Union Omaha, like a USL League One team, we're definitely not going to roll out any line.
I mean, if we're in a
Don't tell
spot
me
where-
with a good time, Brad.
yeah, where 1 through 20 are good, and then we're worrying about like how we're using international rules on supplemental spots. I think we're in a good place or a
Yeah.
better place.
I mean,
than we've
that's
been
also
before.
been that's also been kind of like a valid criticism of how Austin has used their FC2 team is not having is having players who are good on that roster who we can't call up easily.
Yeah.
Yes. I like the idea of mining for guys that are getting experience overseas, but we don't have to go fight for, international spots or decide if we're going to have them or not, or if we're going to lose them because we don't have a spot available on the roster that we're going to be forced to lose them to. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, I'm good with that approach.
And then on the Open Cup side,
yeah,
we get to play Open Cup this year, which I am giddy about.
I'm quite happy about it.
Yeah, I know there's folks out there who prefer Leagues Cup, and that's fine. Prefer what you want to prefer. That's not my say to do or whatever.
That's not the state of this podcast.
Yeah, we prefer Open Cup here. It's just a more pure competition. It's an older competition. It's a real competition. And if you draw after 90 minutes, you're playing an extra 30. Like, soccer was intended to be played. But
It was invented in 1992.
yes. But we should be doing gold and gold. That's a whole.
I'm a silver goal person, so yeah. And I mean, I don't think any of us actually even dislike Leagues Cup. It's just you can't nuke U.S. Open Cup to get it.
Correct. I kind of like the way MLS is structuring this, though, as far as who qualifies for what, because as a league, they are going to promote Leagues Cup over Open Cup. They're just going to. They make money off of that versus Open Cup. However, everybody's going to participate, or most teams will, everybody's going to participate either first or second team. But first teams that aren't in Leagues Cup are going to fully participate in Open Cup, and you get your buys. And what is it? Half of them, Seth, get home games in that round of 32.
Yeah, half of them are going to get, and then the teams that are not hosting are guaranteed to go on the road.
Yeah. So some of those USL teams or US League One teams are going to get some home games against MLS clubs. But the MLS clubs who do have home games, we already know the date or the rough timeline. So we can start promoting that. You can sell tickets to it. It's just really well done compromise, I think, by the league and U.S. Soccer to try to come up with something that works. Because the league was not going to back down off of Leagues Cup because there's just too much money involved.
Yeah, there's a really good piece in The Guardian, I think from Thursday of last week, that I'll try to put in the show notes about how Garber basically comes out all the time and says, well, we only care about Leagues Cup because we control it.
Yeah. All about power and control. Nothing new there.
Nope. U.S. Soccer.
Yeah.
MLS.
But yeah, so one of the weird things that's happening is that no team is going to play all three of CONCACAF Champions Cup, which did start this past week. And we had a couple of hilarious results in CONCACAF Champions Cup. We had Tigres that went down to Nicaragua and lost to Real Estelí. You had Pumas that was playing the Calgary Cavalry in Victoria, British Columbia, because these are logical things, and took a first half lead in a guy who was a Canadian citizen for Pumas who scored their first goal, and then blew the lead and lost 2-1 to the Cavalry in BC.
Watching Pumas play on a pitch that had snowbanks at the end was hilarious.
Remember, this was the site that was moved to because it's warmer in Victoria, BC than playing in Calgary in February for a league that doesn't start its play until April. These guys are dead out of off season, and they beat a Liga MX club in CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Good.
It's incredible. Absolutely. I mean, do I expect Pumas is going to beat the Cavalry 4-0 down in Mexico City at the Seúl this week? Yes. But, you know what? Cavalry fans will always have that, and they have one of their most legendary players. One of Cavalry's stars has appeared at Palmer Field before, and Jay Herdman, the former Whitecaps 2 player and now son of Whitecaps head coach John Herdman. So I assume there were drones.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You answered the question I was going to ask. How many drones were around?
Many drones.
Stop air parking them in New Jersey.
No, but you realize Canadian drones are not friendly in Mexico. It's only American drones they're worried about.
I always get this stuff confused. That's why we have you here, Seth.
So here's my one question, Seth, that I don't quite fully understand about the way the cup system's working this year and potentially moving forward. If you win U.S. Open Cup, do you get a chance to defend it the next year?
No, you do not. Unless you do terrible in the league. So the LAFC won the U.S. Open Cup, and now LAFC 2 gets to defend LAFC's U.S. Open Cup. The same thing actually also applies to CONCACAF Champions Cup. I mean, the Sounders did not make it the year after they won and did not get a chance to defend their CONCACAF Champions Cup. I don't think Pachuca's in it this year to defend their own CONCACAF Champions Cup.
So what happens with, I know there are two teams that are sort of in, not limbo, but don't really fit neatly into the rules. What's happening with San Diego?
Yeah. So there are 30 teams now in MLS now with San Diego. There are 3 teams in Canada. They play the Canadian Championship. Vancouver really cares about the Canadian Championship, and they win it most seasons. They actually fired their coach before Vanni Sartini for losing to Pacific FC in the Canadian Championship. Also, Vanni Sartini got fired this offseason for reasons that we cannot explain. And but Vanni Sartini refuses to manage the United States because he is an open socialist and does not want to be in Donald Trump's country. So I expect to see him managing some random club in Europe before we ever see him managing a club in the United States, which is that's his sad choice. I mean, the Nickelback fans and all of us will be very disappointed in that. But there's a as you go through it, that if we had followed the rules literally there, that Vancouver should have been in CONCACAF Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, and the Canadian Championship. But they're like, no, you can't do 3 tournaments. We're going to forget that Seattle's playing and Miami are both playing in the Club World Cup, which is, of course, a separate tournament. They could have played there just so. But San Diego assigned Chucky Lozano. Chucky Lozano is very popular in Mexico. That means that there could be more Apple TV subscriptions sold in Mexico. San Diego is close to Mexico. We need San Diego to play Liga MX matches. That will make more money for Apple TV. San Diego has been put into the tournament instead of Austin FC, who finished 10th place in the West, which we are all perfectly fine with. But they did technically break their own rules, so that San Diego FC could be in Leagues Cup.
So what's the deal with Atlanta?
With Atlanta, I don't think that Atlanta actually, like, they were just in the position where they were in the league. Like, you have some teams like Minnesota that were in the playoffs, but are still in Open Cup and are not in CONCACAF Champions Cup. I don't think Atlanta broke any rules.
Okay.
Do you think there's a possibility that we as an organization also said, yeah, we're okay playing Open Cup this year, given all the transition?
I don't think they're like, I can see it's like, hey, Dagara announcing this in the competition committee, which Precourt does sit on.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to go do this. Any objections, Tony? Nah. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
So maybe a kind of less direct version of the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, but also considering the roster we have this year and what we think we're going to be able to do, Open Cup becomes very winnable. Like,
yeah.
It's something you should look at as, hey, if there's a competition we're going to make a deep run in, that's the one. So, especially having first game at home and, after that, it's luck of the draw kind of thing. But strategically speaking, I actually think I can see a world where Precourt and the ownership group said, yeah, you know what? We're okay foregoing this year because we think we can make a run over here, essentially win a trophy, and also not have to deal with the stress of Leagues Cup during midweek, during Leagues Cup for a month or so, and having to play it's still a month, but it's midweek for the entire month, right?
It's mostly midweek. So the way they're doing the group stages, it's going to be everyone is off the first weekend in August.
Yeah.
So that they're going to do midweek, weekend, and then week. So it's that like 10-day period that we'll get 2 weeks off in at a time where we'll probably want to have some recovery.
Yeah.
And a bunch of our teams that will be chasing, hopefully, the playoffs will play 3 matches. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, is we get a little more rest with Open Cup being, you have your May match, because our first match is in May for Open Cup.
Yeah, but so like we have no
later,
midweek matches in February, March, and April, and then in May, assuming we win our 4th round Open Cup match, we could have 9 matches in the month of May. Because right now we're currently scheduled to play home matches against Atlanta on the 14th, and then I don't remember when on the 28th. I can look it up real quick, but it is. And then we'd have a home match on the 6th or 7th in Open Cup, and then if we win that, we'll have a match on the 20th.
Kind of one busy month, but
yeah. But then after that, I think the next round of the Open Cup's not for another month or two. Like
it's not, and then by then you're already in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and the semis and the final. The final this year is not until October. Usually
it's October 1st. Yeah.
Usually it's September. And the semis I think are either August or early September. So you're not talking about putting the difference between it and Leagues Cup is you're not talking about putting a bunch of games in a tight time frame during the hottest time of the year as well, where you can fatigue players left and right.
Yes.
So what you're saying with how spread out this is that we're guaranteed at least 2 trophies?
Correct.
Okay.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. The quarterfinals of the Open Cup would be July 8th and 9th. Semifinals September 16th or 17th. It's only 2 weeks between the semis and finals. It's kind of interesting.
I don't know. I'm still going to keep my eye on that quadruple for this year.
I mean, I think it also makes sense to try to keep those together a little bit more, because it does help you build more momentum for the tournament itself. And like we've kind of talked about before, of MLS having an even number of teams means they need fewer match days, and so like there is more time for them to like have these little breaks in the schedule.
Any other kind of rules stuff we want to hit on, or I'm assuming we're gonna have the same playoff format. It just hasn't been officially announced.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I assume so as well. But like, you can never be 100% sure with these things. Also, what's weird is that if you go to the Wikipedia page for the 25 Open Cup, they already have second round potential matchups, but the Open Cup website doesn't have that themselves. And some of them don't make sense on the Wikipedia one. Like, you could have teams playing each other from across the country. So I think Wikipedia is wrong, but it is, yes.
No, don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's the
It just
to be fair, it would not be out of the ordinary for U.S. soccer to be wrong on their own website and Wikipedia correct.
Yes.
I mean, what's your reviewer's age? Like, let's just
Yeah. But we'll assume that the Open Cup website is correct.
generous read.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys want to play a game?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's off season, so a lot of teams are kind of done with their moves, or at least have signaled kind of what's going to happen. We think we have a pretty good roster, so let's talk about how serious we think every other team. And we're just going to do the Western Conference because we don't really care about the East, at least not right now. Let's see how serious they are about kind of competing, or in general as a club or a franchise, or this season. So I'm going to go ahead and just read off in order of the standings from last year in the West, and you guys kind of tell me how serious you think each of these clubs are. And we'll start with LAFC.
Yeah, so I'll start off with this. Like, LAFC has a huge history of being serious, but if you look at their roster right now, it's really thin. And like, one of the things that we did talk about in the roster rule section is that the secondary window doesn't open until July 31st, and LAFC will be one of the clubs that's in Leagues Cup, so that they will be able to get some of their summer reinforcements in time for Leagues Cup in theory. But like, they're going to be really vulnerable, and I'm very glad that we play LAFC both times before the opening of the secondary transfer window. Like, I don't know if they're going to be that serious this year. A lot of their front office talent went down the 110 to Carson.
Yeah, I mean, there's precedent. Didn't they miss the playoffs a couple of years ago? Both LA teams?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
3 years ago, yeah. 2 or 3.
Yeah. All right, it's MLS, so it could turn over. Defending MLS Cup champions and without Ricky Puig's ACL for most of the season, LA Galaxy.
And Jovic.
I kind of think they're in a similar boat. Like, I feel like they're a serious team, but they're also serious about like kind of restructuring their roster when they don't think that they're going to be able to compete this year. Because I think without Pooch, like, that really does diminish what their ceiling is. And so, like, getting rid of Jovicic for like actual money is good for them. And they also lost Delgado in their midfield, who was a big part of their team. And so I think they might use this year as kind of a like restructuring, while there's a good excuse as why they wouldn't be good or compete, even though they're defending champions. So I think they're serious, but I don't think they're serious about winning. I think they're serious about winning this year. I think they're serious about like structuring their roster for the future.
So it's not just Diego Fagundes. All of LA Galaxy doesn't want debt smoke.
No, yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that like I think that like as much as like we like Diego and he's a good player, like if Diego's one of your like starting attackers, you're probably not an MLS Cup winner.
I would be very impressed.
Like last year, like the role for him was kind of perfect. Like he could come off the bench and kind of be like an additional guy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe see if they have like Diego on the left and then they sign Mohamed Salah in summer. They can pull that off, but that's about it.
Oh, a non-DP contract.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's amazing. Like, they still have Marco Reus, and you just didn't mention Marco Reus and all of that. And like, Marco Reus leaving Dortmund has left Dortmund in 11th place in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that like you forget about in Wiener because he just like wasn't that much of a feature for them. And like, because ultimately like him and Pooch kind of like do similar things. And so like maybe like Royce just comes in and does Marco Reus things, but like I don't know if that still like raises your ceiling at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't mention Giroud for LAFC either because all he did last season is basically like take pictures. So same thing. All right, let's keep it going. Number 3, Real Salt Lake.
Well, I'm going to say that they flirt, or maybe in the Utah parlance, they're soaking with seriousness. That they get to a world of they are
Jumping up and down.
tantalizing.
Jumping up and down.
They are tantalizingly close to being a serious club. And honestly, maybe sort of related to that stuff, like Chicho Aranjo leaving that club might be very good because like he is not actually a good person on a lot of this stuff. If you want to read deeper into the internet, you can do that at your own peril. But like they are doing enough things that they are trying to build a team that was for years not a serious team. And like they have built it into a serious team, but they have, I mean, their most famous playoff win in recent years was a 0-0 draw that they won on PKs where they didn't take a shot. Like this is a team that like
Football heritage.
yes, they have the potential, but like they just can't seem to finish.
Well, I don't know. I have a lot of jokes that I'm not going to say about that. Moving on to number 4, Seattle Sounders.
Yeah,
I don't think we can discount a team that got Jesus Ferreira in the offseason.
and Paul
Larry.
Ariel.
Yeah.
I got both of them.
I mean, is that negative serious?
No,
they're
they're serious with a cowboy hat.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, listen, they
Dallas is
upgraded
very
their-
serious about getting as many fringe national team players or at the
Listen,
end of their
they-
career as possible.
They upgraded the striker position. Getting Ariola in there, I think, is going to really help for the creative portion of the midfield because they kind of been missing that. I think they're the favorites in the West this year to start the season. I don't think there's really any particular argument against them before that position.
So actually serious, but also
Yeah.
not very serious.
Well, I think
Yeah, but like they're gonna run into. I mean, depending on how their Club World Cup run goes, like and with league stuff, like I could definitely see them having a really strong start to the season and then fading in the stretch run, which is usually the opposite of what Brian Schmetzer coach clubs do, where they usually are pretty weak to start the season, but then come on really strong. But like they're gonna be playing so many matches this summer.
So it's normally like a light aria to start and then like a very strong Risorgimento to finish. It's a Brian Schmetzer orchestra joke for those of you who are not highbrow enough to get it.
that is the deep cut you get for this podcast. You have to understand.
I got to do
things
one
like
every
that to get all of our
show.
jokes. Yeah, no, I think Seattle like is the current favorite because they've kind of they've made their roster a lot younger besides Ariola, and kind of like shifting like generations to where like Jordan Morris is now like their old striker as opposed to like their young striker.
Yeah, well, and Morris is probably going to be playing off the left wing, like he typically has been doing the last little bit, right? With Ferreira,
Yeah,
unless they could go to a 2-striker system, but
That's what I think, because I think Ferrer works best if he has another striker because he is both very good at making runs to get on the ends of through balls and also playing through balls. And so like to me, like that roster kind of makes more sense if they're gonna kind of let the two of them kind of free reign up above.
makes sense.
All right. Next up in parentheses, fuck Houston Dynamo.
LOL, they hired Josh Wolf.
I did hire Josh Wolf. Brad, you seem like you want to talk about this.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to take you seriously if you're hiring Josh Wolf. So we have said for years that I actually do think Josh is better suited to be an assistant than he is a head coach. I don't think he's a very good man manager, but from a tactical point of view, he always got high marks for having players and ready for film work and everything. I just don't think his ideas on how to implement those things during the week or during a game are very good. But they have lost damn near everything off this team. Now they went and made the move for Philly's kid, Sullivan. Is that right?
No, McGlynn.
McGlynn, yeah.
Jack McGlynn.
Sorry, McGlynn. Sorry. But other than that, like, what are they doing? What have they done to improve the team?
Gavin Wolf.
Well, in 4 years, maybe. Yeah, you could see that being good for them.
He might make a bench sooner than that, to be honest. Yeah, like because Herrera's gone and Sebastian Ferrer is gone. So, and I don't think they've refilled those DB spots. And so you kind of look at their roster of like, how are they going to generate offense here, besides Jack McGlynn like being like all of their creation.
Is Garaskia gone too?
Yeah, Coco's
Okay.
gone too. So
I love to hate him. He seems like a player I would have really liked if he didn't play for the Dynamo.
Same.
Yeah.
And they only sold him for $3.5 million. Like, what? Like, Pumas, like, nice job getting that deal done.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
he's
could've got
relatively young too, isn't he?
Yeah,
24.
Coco's like 26,
Okay.
25, 26. He's not that old.
I was thinking he was 27, but yeah.
Okay, maybe he is.
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe he's almost 28.
No,
Roto's
we're not
best
doing
piece
that.
of
God
business-
damn it.
No,
he's
Roto's
26.
Roto's best piece of business is still selling Johan Romagna for like actual like money of like 600 grand or whatever. Like that's still incredible.
I don't know. We may look back at that Driussi one as the real best deal he's done, but we'll see.
Driussi so far at Riverblad has 2 yellow cards, and no goals, and 1 hockey assist.
Okay. Okay,
What's
what's
the
the
Danny Pereira track?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say he is starting above Miguel Borja now, former Austin FC target.
Thought that sounded familiar.
That'd have been a fun swap deal.
Yeah. Keeping on our list, Minnesota United.
They're actually looking pretty serious at the moment.
Yeah.
Like Minnesota should be one of the top teams of the West. They are no longer signing overperforming aging strikers at Team Pukki, but that they're getting to a point where they are establishing this pipeline of bringing young Korean players over, which are really the first team in MLS that has done this on a multiple player basis. They finally got rid of Adrian Heath. Their co-chiefs, I mean, they were a solid team. I mean, heck, with an interim last year, they came in and demolished us in the first match, which that was the biggest 2-1 beatdown I've ever seen in my life.
Interim to the interim.
Yes.
But yeah, no, like I think they're finally serious.
Okay, good.
Also, Minnesota is the only team, well, not counting San Diego FC because they're brand new and haven't had a chance yet. Minnesota is the only team in the West that has never made the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Oh, interesting. Always full of fun facts. Yeah, Pookie went to the same club HJK as Ring, right?
Yes.
Gonna pull up Minnesota's temperature right now because they had hosted roughly right about now. Just curious. For CONCACAF champions.
Just see what it's like.
5 degrees in Minneapolis.
It's currently what?
I mean, hey, they've hosted matches when it's been colder
It's
outside.
currently
US
5
national
degrees in
team.
Minneapolis.
Jesus Christ. So I still have this on my weather app. Kiruna, which is in like the very top Arctic circle of Sweden and is north of Nome, Alaska, is 23 right now, and it's fucking night there.
Yeah, it's let's say they were to host this week, like Wednesday night for the back leg. It is going to be a high of 11 and a low of -11 on Wednesday.
But probably no snow. They haven't gotten very much snow.
I mean, at what point do they call the Vikings like, can we play inside over for you guys for a few days?
They might.
They might, yeah. I'm sure there's got to be other indoor facilities in Minneapolis.
Where the Minnesota's MN UFC 2 plays is at the Blaine Center there, where it's just the Vikings practice facilities right there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I figured like Vikings practice or like University of Minnesota practice. Like I assume they have
Well,
a
yeah,
temperature control one.
University of Minnesota Stadium. They built sort of like San Diego. They built a stadium that was a new stadium with no roof and no covering on it in Minnesota.
We got
Moving out of
college football's done in November, so that's okay.
Yeah.
no, well, like college football might not like. I mean, okay, Minnesota PJ Fleck's probably not going to get the Gophers good enough to make playoff game with playoffs, but like
Thank you for thinking about it.
I was gonna say they should play in the Mall of America, but that's just
Yes, that would be great.
Oh, how is that not a bowl game? That should be
Yeah,
a
that
bowl
absolutely should be.
game. The Mall of America Bowl, and they play in the mall.
1987 really missed out on this.
Yeah.
That would have been the most popular bowl, and now it's obviously the granddaddy of them all, the Pop-Tart Bowl. But
or they should just go to Prince's house and build a field on Paisley Park's lawn. That would be amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
are we done with Minnesota
Triple
jokes, or we
rating
got a couple
now.
more we want to get out of our systems?
no, I think
Oh,
we're good. I think we got it. I think we got a good landing point on that one.
Yeah, got a little too loony there.
I see what you did.
Boom. Moving on, number 7 last year. Colorado Rapids, or the PIDs, as they call
are
themselves.
serious about the draft.
How
All we need to
serious
say.
are they about the draft?
I mean, listen, when you're out here trading players and GAM for draft picks, like, you are a deeply unserious team. The strategy makes no sense in modern MLS, except for Kroenke saving money. It's really the only thing that makes sense here. If you're a Rapids supporter, I don't know how you can look at it and have any want or desire to go watch this team or spend money on this team. They're going to challenge the lowest points record this year, I think, in MLS history.
Okay, so we're putting them at least serious.
No, but like I don't think they're going to be that bad. Like, I mean, this is a team that they are in CONCACAF Champions Cup. That this is a team that is not that much worse than last year's team.
Yeah, I kind of think they're like lower. They're like lower playoff fodder. Like they'll be a playoff team, but kind of barely.
All right,
I don't see it.
I also just
Maybe
think there's a
not
lot of
really
other
serious.
like potentially bad teams in the West.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the West is going to be pretty not good this year. Yes.
and we are getting to that part of the table.
Which is why I think Austin has a legitimate shot to be a top 4 team, because there's a lot of teams taking backward steps in the West this year.
Yeah, come out and blitz people early, and then we'll sort it out and get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think Austin's more ready early in the season, but we can get on roster or the rest of that standing.
Yeah, we'll do the full preview next week, and we'll talk about how ready we are, how serious we are. Vancouver Whitecaps we kind of hit on, but
Yeah, they're serious about the Canadian Championship,
They are.
but like not serious about anything else. And I expect them to fall out of the playoff picture this year.
any lawn and garden show shenanigans this year?
No.
I was the most
they
excited
are-
I've seen Seth in a while, by the way, when I asked that
What
question.
about motocross? Is there any big motocross problems with the
Okay, so now I'm gonna have to go look up what other events are at BC Place this year that are there, because we're just gonna go do this. So opening weekend of MLS season, is what event that Brad might like is taking place at BC Place.
Royal Rumble?
No, that's already done. They did that last week.
I'm surprised I got that close on a date.
I have no idea.
Well, you've already mentioned it once in this podcast. Is the Canadian Rugby Sevens
Okay.
he plays
Yeah, I know watch that.
split in 2 weekends from now. And then, we've got other events in April. We have an AC/DC concert. Okay, we got the BC Lions.
Everyone that goes
and-
gets a free defibrillator when they walk in.
Yeah.
We got a weekend concert. After Hours Till Dawn is the name of the tour. That's a choice.
What?
That's too many time-based references in one thing.
But yeah, there's not too many other events this year so far planned at BC Place besides BC Lions and the
All right, well,
Vancouver
fucking step it up, Canada. We're counting on you for hilarity. Speaking of hilarity, number 9, Portland, playing a baseball stadium. Phil Neville's their coach. Not serious at all. Any other notes here?
Evander ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Might show up.
you're not a serious team if the best player on your team and like current MVP candidate doesn't want to be there.
I'm just going to say I expect to see us play Evander this year on May 10th.
But also, I
In
also
Cincinnati.
don't think that Lucho
Yeah,
Acosta is
interesting.
actually in Cincinnati. So, but Lucho Acosta apparently finally showed up to preseason Cincinnati, overweight and out of shape.
Shocking.
Yeah. Oh, wait, the guy weighs like 100 pounds.
I know, that's why.
Yeah, he clocked in at 110. Like,
Oh, yeah, there you go. It's all about percentages.
I mean, the Lucho thing doesn't end with him staying in Cincinnati this year. I just don't see that. He came out and did an interview the other day where basically just went off on the sporting director for Cincinnati. I can't see long term how that's going to fit this year. And it feels like everything revolving around Evander is in a holding pattern until Lucho gets taken care of, because the most logical place for Evander to end up is Cincinnati.
I mean, it's also
We
that
did.
like Portland, like they need to kind of fundamentally change their team to be less just all gas, no brakes. Like they need to have some brakes at some point.
we'll see. Austin FC, we already noted as the most serious, but we'll do them more in depth. FC Dallas, FC Frisco.
They are serious about rebuilding their stadium over the next 3 years more than rebuilding their club. Oh, yeah, they're serious about their academy.
And serious about putting you in a brand new Tacoma, Seth.
Yes.
I'm surprised nobody did that before me. But okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're one of the teams that outside could theoretically end up with Blue Jack. That is a possibility, but otherwise, they don't have much to work.
Yeah, like I mean, they have resources to spend just because of like the trades they've made, but they don't seem intent on spending it this year.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a move they're doing this year. Yeah, what's the deal with the stadium? Like, when will it actually be ready?
It's going to take 3 years to rebuild it. The goal is so that they only miss 2. Notice that they decided to rebuild the stadium around the FCS championship game rather than around the FC Dallas schedule.
Yeah.
So that they only lose the FCS championship game for 2 seasons, but FC Dallas will be impacted for the stadium construction for 3 seasons.
Yeah,
The
but I
reason
mean,
for that is the city owns the stadium, and the amount of money that comes into the city for the FCS championship game is pretty wild. It probably, my guess would be probably dwarfs anything that FC Dallas could do through an entire season. Because you talk about hotel occupancy and food that comes in for people buying at restaurants and drinks and everything else. And for the most part, those FCS championship games are teams that are from like the Dakotas, so they're all about going to Frisco in the middle of or early January.
they also that way they keep the the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl or something too.
Yes. That doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they had 2 actual like decent programs there this year, and they didn't sell it out in that 20,000 stadium.
Yeah,
West Virginia was there playing. I forgot who they played, but somebody halfway recognizable, and I think they had 15,000.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess they're probably not going to be involved in any World Cup stuff since they're in South Oklahoma.
Yeah, they might host like some trading sites, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can do those
And it's
offsite.
yeah. I mean, there's also just better options in the Metroplex area for World Cup games than there.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've got plenty of training facilities too.
Yeah.
For teams to host for training purposes, they don't have to use the stadium for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I also wonder if I'm not even sure they're the best training facilities in Frisco because the Cowboys are up there. Like, it just depends on if Jerry opens it up or not.
Sure, but the World Cup will be overlapping with NFL preseason, so there's no way Jerry will.
No, it won't be.
Well, doesn't it?
World Cup is done by July 19th. NFL preseason usually doesn't start till like July 20 something.
Oh, okay, I had my dates wrong. I thought it was going from July to August for whatever reason in my head.
No. It starts in like early to mid June. Although
Either way, I don't see Jerry letting them use it.
I mean, you never know. Jerry gets a big enough check. Wait a minute. You're telling me I can get a yacht extension? Oh, yeah, done deal.
Well, I kind of wonder if that wasn't part of like the absolutely above board, did not involve bribery, his way of getting the final.
What? No. Moving on. St. Louis City SC.
They're actually fairly serious. Like, think about it. Like, they were on the our friend Arias's scale of firing coaches. Like, the second a coach did something wrong, they fired him, which is remarkably European of them. So they're very serious about being like a mid-table Bundesliga team. They're going to find random players to buy in Bundesliga 2. They're going to find random players to buy in the Czech League. And I think they're going to be a decent team. They should probably be in the 5 to 8 realm in the West this year.
Yeah. Brought in a new head coach and all-around handsome person, Olaf Milberg. That'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I think one of the more like I could see this going very poorly or very well teams in the league.
Yeah, I kind of like them to bounce back, not to winning the West, but like they'll be in the playoffs again.
Yeah. Sporting Kansas City.
At first, I would have told you they were unserious, but then they made the move for Jovic, and that changes the calculus, right? They're going to be able to score some goals, and given you're playing Vermes ball, so how far is that going to take you? in the modern MLS. But they're a playoff team. I think the way they're constructed right now and the moves they're making, and I think they still have a little flexibility to make some more moves later in the year if they can find some. They're a team that probably in that 5, 6, 7 range of the Western Conference this year.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's also that thing of just like, if you have a good young striker and the striker gets hot, like, that's always just going to make your team a little bit better. And I think them getting Joveljic is a really big move for them. Like, after losing Polito and generally kind of having like not as much time last year, like that's a big deal.
Yeah, they went and got one of the better proven strikers in this league, who still is on a pretty team-friendly contract and young. So, you know, they could flip him in a couple of years for more than they paid, pretty easily. I think it was a smart piece of business for them. And I was kind of surprised that Galaxy let him go for just a few $1 million.
I assume Galaxy had some words with them, and it was either that or nothing. He was going to find a way out either way.
I don't know that he wanted out so much as he wanted it raised.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Galaxy had the room to do it.
Yeah.
Because he was not a DP player.
No, especially not there.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite club to talk about, San Jose.
More serious
they're
than
serious about, no, they're serious about turning back the clock to like 2019. If this was a 2019 roster, this would be winning the West.
I think they're very serious about not caring about off the field issues. Bringing in Arena, bringing in Arango, like I mean, their problem last year was defense, and I don't see them they're going to be significantly better on defense.
But like, could they break the record for most total goals scored and given up in an MLS season with this roster? Yes,
I hope so.
Oh,
that's what we have them here for.
Yeah,
like if you're going to be bad, at least be entertaining.
Yeah, that's
always
what we
the
asked for years. Finally, I don't really know what to do with San Diego, but it'll be a good addition to the league, I think, and you know we'll see how they do.
Yeah, they get it too.
I think they're pretty serious, to be honest. Like, I don't think you spend the money on Chucky Lozano unless you're serious.
Yeah, and they've got
the roster's still fairly incomplete. Like, I think they still have like 6 open roster spots.
Yeah. You wonder when they're going to fill those, but
I mean, they've been making a signing a week or so like they might be okay, but it's been a little more tumultuous than they would have liked.
Yeah,
I mean, is Ben Sweat available?
Must be.
Like he has to be passed around to every expansion team. That's the rules. Like
Minnesota just re-signed Will Trapp. They could have gone and gotten him. So, yeah, I
think that's unserious.
Yeah,
they're a team that I think you got to give a year or two. Much like we had our great season in 2021, where whatever, it was just there. Like you're having fun, and it's a new season and a new team, and just enjoy it for what it is. I think that's the same concept here. They're not going to be the St. Louis City expansion team year one experience.
No, I do wonder too how much they're waiting until summer to make some bigger signings.
Yeah.
All right. I got one other news and note. I wanted to talk a little bit about Aaron Ramsey. For those of you who don't follow this, this is a mastery in shithousing. So about 15 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Ryan Shawcross played for Stoke City, and he intentionally broke Aaron Ramsey's leg in half. And then the next time Aaron Ramsey, after about 2 years of recovery, had to go visit Stoke, all of the fans booed him because one of their shitheel players broke his leg in half on purpose. Like that was his fault. And so Aaron Ramsey is 35 now, back at his hometown club in Cardiff, who got to go to Stoke yesterday, and they won in penalties. So going off the field, Aaron Ramsey is literally winding up the entire crowd, flipping them off as like thousands of people are screaming at him and mad at him for something that happened 15 years ago that wasn't his fault.
To him,
yes. To him. He didn't do anything. So I wanted to kind of open that up as a fun little topic of conversation here at the end. Is there an injury that, you know, pisses you off, or like a nice bit of shithousing you want to remember and bring up today, just sort of as we're closing out here?
Fuck Kevin Davies. we talked about this yesterday for a little bit. Kevin Davies just like in general was just intentionally injuring players left and right in the Premier League, but I think he ruined Tom Cleverley's ankle in career when he was like a bright spot midfielder for United as a kind of like youth player. I was trying to think the best shithousing. I still think the best shithousing ever was Henry Kessler at the end of a CONCACAF Champions game where the ball went out because he cleared it, and then there was a ball there to try to like for the other team to try to like get a quick throw in, and he threw that ball away just to make sure that they couldn't get a quick throw in while like they were in transition. And I thought that was both elite shithousing and elite like presence of mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best shithousing too is when you get a little extra out of it. Like there was a keeper for, I want to say it's still PSV's goalkeeper who literally like ran out, cleared a ball, and then a guy on the other team tried to take a quick throw, and he just kicked another ball on the field. It was just like yellow card. And it's like, yep, fine, fair enough.
Tactical yellow.
Yep, tactical yellow.
Yes.
Any injuries or shithousing from either you or Seth or Brad?
Yeah, I mean, this is I'm just watching Liverpool BC team lose to Plymouth Argyle, which is honestly fine at this point. Like, it is okay. Because we have too many matches to play as it is.
You know who did lose to Plymouth Argyle? QPR.
Let's say
QPR.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are they going to storm the pitch here, by the way? Let's see. Like, I feel like this would be fair. Like, normally you only do this with promotions or avoiding relegation. But, like, if they, like, actually storm the field at home park here, like, I wouldn't blame them at the moment.
Yeah, I think beating a team above your league is a valid storm reason.
Well, Plymouth is also getting relegated this year.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to League One next year. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, no, the person I mean, there have been so many Bengal Steelers injuries that are so vicious that we could go there, but like we're now like at a point where those are pretty much even of like everyone will paralyze everyone and it's just hatred. And that is how it goes there. But I still will never forgive fucking Justin Love. It'll be 25 years next month for his knock on Kenyon Martin's right fibula that destroyed the Cincinnati Bearcats 2000 season. That should have won a national championship. That you'll never get forgiven.
Yeah. There's actually a weird St. Louis U lore about that play where they're like, oh, no, it was a total accident. Like, I watched it again yesterday. I was like, no, it wasn't. Like, he maybe didn't want to like break his leg, but it definitely wasn't an accident. But we're not going to hold it against Kip Keller.
Yes. No, we don't hold these things against Kip Keller. But if you ever want to see the most dominating college basketball performance of your life, and I think I might have showed this to some of you guys at a point, it's the Cincinnati DePaul game a week before there, where Cincinnati is down 10 points going into the Final Four at Allstate Arena up in Rosemont, and Kenyon Martin just takes over the game, where Bob Huggins yells out to him, if anyone else takes a shot in the Final Four, you're losing your scholarship. And he came back from 10 down in the final TV timeout and won. It's still absolutely insane stuff.
I feel like Bob Huggins would have made a great like championship or low-level Premier League manager.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man.
We really missed one with that.
I mean, the amount of DUIs alone would just be like, I mean, would be really fitting in.
Yeah.
And just like comeback opportunities. Like, I would love to see Bob Huggins out in like, I don't know, like Huddersfield, like just give him like some salt of the earth North of England town where giving it his all and doing some questionable things on the side.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to do some questionable things. That's part of the job. Anything
That's
from
proper
you, Brad,
football
either?
heritage, some would say.
Yeah, football heritage. Proper football. He would be a proper football man. For sure. Brad, any injuries or shithousing you want to bring up?
Oh, no, my teams do the injuring. So, yeah. Historically, that's the space.
Yeah, 2 playoff series in a row. Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, you're light work compared to what we did to the Wings back in like 96.
That was fun, though.
Started a whole rivalry. It's fine.
That was just the entire NHL at that point.
Yeah. You know, I also, my football team had Bill Romanowski in the 90s and Steve Atwater, who loved to kill people on the field as much as humanly possible. And so for the most part, and then, you know, college football, we had Nick Fairley in 2010, who Georgia still has not forgiven for his hit on Aaron Murray, which, you know, Aaron Murray shouldn't be soft. So yeah.
All right, you don't want to talk about the trees?
I mean, that was an active criminal thing, but it didn't take anybody off the field for us.
So it was cool.
Huh?
So it was cool.
I mean, the dude ended up spending the rest of his life behind bars, like for killing a tree. Like, it's kind of dumb.
It's very dumb.
Kind of.
Huh?
Kind of.
What are you in here for, Arborside? Yeah, that's got to be up there with the worst. What are you in for stories?
Well, the thing is, he wouldn't have got caught if he wouldn't have called into Paul Feinbaum. That's the best part.
Yes, it's definitely the most Alabama part.
Look, you gotta get that clout, like that fan clout.
Paul,
But Paul, I killed the tree.
tell you something, Mr. Feinbaum. Those things are tougher than they look. All right, so we're getting close to time here, and this is about to go off the rails, so I'm going to pull us back, even though it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll bring it up next week again, but it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we're going to go around the horn and do just predictions. You can give me like a score, you can give me a margin, whatever, but Brad, who should I bet on, and what's the line? What's the score going to be?
So the line, let me check real quick. Last I saw it was 1.5, where the Kansas City Chiefs were favored. Let's pull up the old thing. Yeah, Chiefs are still a 1.5 point favorite. The over/under is 48.5. Actually like the over. Last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl final was 38-35. Chiefs have a pretty good defense, but they did not perform well 2 weeks ago against Buffalo. So I think from that perspective, I think we're going to get a higher scoring game. Just too many weapons on Philly's side for me. I can't get it out of my head how many times Kansas City skated by this year. And I just think that Philly top to bottom is a better team and a more loaded team. Kansas City to make it interesting. I like Philadelphia by 6.
Philly by 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Seth, how about you?
As much as I would want to see the Chiefs lose, I just don't see them losing a game like this. Like at a certain point, like until Mahomes doesn't perform in a moment like this, you have to believe that he keeps on performing in these moments.
But he has had not a great performance in a moment like this. He lost a Super Bowl.
He lost a Super Bowl.
Sure.
Yes.
But Brady
He also won it.
Sure, and he's on the Brady track, which means he wins 2, loses 1. Wins 2, loses 1.
Yes. But it's also that the Brady track, you have teams that you beat and you have teams that you lose to. This is already a team that he's beat. I just as much as I will be rooting for the Eagles today, I fully expect that the Chiefs will pull it out 27-24 on a last set game-winning field.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott, how about you?
I really like the minus 210 money line of Kendrick Lamar's next diss track still beating Drake's.
Okay. Is that your top prop bet?
Yeah, I think that's the top prop bet. No, my dad's been a lifelong Chiefs fan, suffering from joy. If I inherited that from him, and watching all of those terrible playoff losses of Lynn Elliott shanking field goals and Steve Bono unable to complete a pass, and now that the team's good and they've achieved the goal that every team wants to be of you're good so long that everybody hates you. And so seeing his joy
That's
now
the dream.
being able to root for, being able to root for a winner constantly. I mean, I hope the Chiefs win just for that reason.
Okay, you got a score prediction?
I agree with Brad about it being a higher scoring game. I think it's probably more 31-27, something like that. It's probably gonna. I would guess that it's probably gonna come down to a last possession or two, because I just think these teams are fairly even.
Yeah. I'm gonna go higher scoring than any of you. Gonna go with 37-35 Eagles on the last second field goal. And my prop bet is that Taylor Swift will be shown more than Donald Trump.
That was my prop. Yeah.
Oh,
What's the line on that? I have to.
I haven't seen one actually. I've been looking for one and I haven't seen it out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other good ones, but however, Eagles fans who die in the post-game celebration. I don't know if you can prop bet that ahead of time. Or
well,
seriously
the poles in New
injured.
York though, are in New Orleans are the old like 1600 style poles. They can climb those up. You can't really grease those.
Yeah,
So-
well, and I imagine they're easier to
at
pull
least
down too.
most- I feel like they've at least gotten rid of all of the original candles in those, because let's face it, like when those were built, like those actually still had like actual wax candles. Because if that had been the case, they would have actually burned down the city. Right?
I don't know.
Win
New
or
Orleans
loss.
has survived worse,
Yeah.
but that's a good matchup too. New Orleans versus Eagles if they win. Eagles fans if they win.
Or over under on number of Eagles fans arrested in the next 24 hours in Orleans Parish.
Oh, I mean,
I'm not sure you could make that high enough for me to take the under.
Yeah, I was gonna
For me to
say
take the under.
10,
I-
and then I
I've
got to
been-
100, and then I was like, I don't know.
I've been to New Orleans for a couple of Sugar Bowls, and it's a party and crowded. I can only imagine what it's like down there right now. Now, the thing with the Super Bowl is, at least half the people there have no rooting affiliation for the team. Like, it's corporate. Having been to one, like as a corporate guy, like yeah, that's just you're just there to watch the game. But the half that are there that are crazy fans of one or two teams, especially being Philly. And I think Philly will bring more people because this is kind of becoming old hat for Casey. I just got a feeling, man, that it's a total shit show down there that I would love to see.
It's from like an anthropological lens. I kind of want to.
Well, I guess the crazier thing is, are the Eagles fans that are in the Superdome crazier, or the ones that just go to New Orleans that don't have a ticket crazy?
I'd go
I
no
think the
ticket.
way you allow-
No ticket.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, no
for me.
ticket. It's a no ticket.
That's a lot of money to spend to not have a ticket to the game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And odds are you probably don't have a hotel in New Orleans proper. You might be staying across the river somewhere in like Gretna or something like that.
Or you're just like, you drove down and you're just like chilling in your car trying to see whoever you're.
Yeah, it's very possible somebody could Uber from like Baton Rouge too for the day. Like just spend
Yeah.
a crap ton of money on an Uber and come down. So
And hope someone will just give them a ticket an hour before kickoff, you know? 5 people will get lucky like
if
that.
my
but,
stepdad is that guy.
what's
my
that?
my stepdad is that guy. Like he has gotten more free tickets to major sporting events than I could possibly tell you just from like standing around and people handing it to him or something, getting a call at the last minute, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always just like last minute tickets available, and you have to be there to get in. So like,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, and if not, like, you just go and enjoy the party around it. Like, New Orleans
Yeah.
is a great party city.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine even if you don't have a ticket. Alrighty. I guess we'll leave it there. I don't think any of us have any strong rooting interest other than Scott's that he mentioned, but you know, hopefully a good game. Hopefully it's not decided on a bad call against the Eagles towards Mahomes, because the internet will explode if that happens. But I don't know. Give us something to read about at least.
I was just say, over under. Well, I guess not an over under bet. Does Travis Kelce propose at the end of this game or not?
No,
I'm gonna go with no. They would have already done that one if that was gonna happen.
no, she's not going to want to do it on the field
Yeah.
at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think he knows better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if that was gonna happen, it would have been like the first season.
Yeah. I think he proposes in the off season this year. I think that's when it's going to happen.
All right, we'll keep you guys updated on that. With Brad, I'm going to leave you with that. You keep us updated on that. And
Yuri
your,
keeps me updated. so
QPR
I
updates.
absolutely keep you updated. This is
Yeah. Okay. Just weave it into one of your QPR stories, and we'll see if any of us know this. All right, I'll be.
Well, Brad, congrats on getting within 4 points of playoff promotion with like everyone losing yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, this is big match at Coventry. I don't think it's on Paramount Plus on Tuesday.
It's
so
not. It's on.
I think you got to pay like $15 or whatever it is for iFollow or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's on the $12 subscription thing for.
Just board the high seas.
Yeah, it's you know they've been playing well, and I still don't think they're going to end up making the playoff, but they've made some really interesting signings. QPR has over the last few weeks during the window. Got a young guy from Chelsea he's an English U20 international player as well. Not going to get to play till next year. He's currently injured. And then also got a Spurs player on loan who's already come in and made an impact. So I'm excited. They're young. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. Like they kind of play up and down, like soccer that leads itself to a lot of chances and goal opportunity, and a lot of goals. So it makes it interesting to watch. It's very MLS-y. Like Seth and I talked about when we were at the match. It is very MLS-y, and I think that's why I like it.
Good. Well, best of luck to them, and we'll keep our eyes out, and hopefully maybe we'll set up a live stream if they make the playoff, and we'll watch the game. I think we can do that. All right. On behalf of Seth, Brad, and Scott, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Thomas here for Austin Jared Stroud. It's Diego Fagundes. He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again. That's impossible.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.